Swissinfo podcasts.
The quagga mussel seems like an enemy that cannot be defeated.
Only mussels wherever you look. There are no spaces between them at all.
Now we know that quagga mussel can spread much deeper and occupy much larger areas, especially that's important for deep lakes.
Every mussel makes again 100 new mussels. It goes very, very quick. So that is, they are masters in reproducing.
The quagga mussel is causing many problems in Switzerland and across the northern hemisphere, changing ecosystems in its path, attacking water supplies and causing millions in damage. But is there any way to stop the invasive mussel? That's coming up in this episode of the Swiss Connection Science Podcast. Hello, I'm Jo Fay. Quagga mussels come from the Black Sea region and were first spotted in Switzerland in 2014 in the river Rhine near Basel. Their larvae are invisible to the naked eye and can be carried downstream in rivers or transported by attaching to boats. The mussel can reproduce almost all year round and can inhabit deep water zones where there are few predators. Switzerland, Germany, Austria and the United States are all countries suffering from an invasive mussel infestation. Researchers there are pooling their findings to better understand the behaviour of the quagga. Swissinfo journalist Julie Hunt found out what's being done to stop this invasive species.
The quagga mussel seems like an enemy that cannot be defeated. In 2023, researchers counted between 15 and 25,000 mussels per square metre at 4 locations in Lake Konstanz. A team from the Swiss Federal Institute of Aquatic Science and Technology, Eawag, and the University of Konstanz take stock of quagga mussels in Lake Konstanz every autumn. Journalist and diver Sandra Büchi, who films underwater for Swiss Public Television SRF, travelled with them around Steckborn.
Take a look at this. Only mussels wherever you look. There are no spaces between them at all.
The quagga mussel is convex and has a rounded keel on the side. It measures about 20 millimetres. It's slightly bigger than its relative, the zebra mussel, which often displays a striped pattern. The quagga may have arrived in 2014, but the zebra mussel has been in Europe for 200 years. Luba Berlikova, a senior research scientist from Buffalo State University in the United States, says both varieties appeared in the Great Lakes in the 1980s.
In North America, scientists were using European experience on zebra mussel, but then when quagga mussel came, they accumulated quite a bit of experience on quagga mussel, which wasn't even in Europe at that time. We're monitoring lakes every year on about 60 stations, so we have the most up-to-date data. Now we know that quagga mussel can spread much deeper and occupy much larger areas, especially that's important for deep lakes. So now with this experience from North American lakes, we can use this experience on Swiss lakes, and not only Swiss lakes, for any deep lakes in Europe that will be colonized with quagga mussels. So according to our predictions, there should be a pretty large population, so they will be able to completely change their functioning of ecosystem.
Piet Spark, who leads Eawag's Lake Change research project on Lake Konstanz, told us more about the newest invasive mollusks.
It lives in lakes and in rivers on the bottom and feeds itself through a so-called siphon. That's a kind of tube that goes out of these two shells and sucks the water in, and then the quagga mussel filters its food out of the water. So it eats algae, plants that grow in the water.
Their great survival skill is their ability to reproduce.
One female mussel can produce up to 1 million egg cells, a male mussel even more sperm. So that means they can produce many, many larvae. Every mussel makes again 100 new mussels. It goes very, very quick. So that is, they are masters in reproducing.
And there aren't many animals native to Switzerland which can stop the quagga's growth or limit the population.
So they are eaten by birds, by ducks, for example. But ducks have to dive, and ducks go only 5 to 10 meters or something like that. They can be eaten by fish, but they are not preferred fish food because they do not have much meat. But quagga mussels can go as deep as there is oxygen in lakes. And in clean Swiss lakes, this is up to the deepest part, so that can be for Lake Konstanz, for example, 250 meters.
7 research institutions from Switzerland, Germany and Austria are participating in the Lake Change project. They're focusing on how an invasive species like the quagga affects other life in the lake.
If quagga mussels grow and grow, all the nutrients in a lake that they accumulate in this quagga mussel so are not available for the rest of the food chain. So if quagga mussels eat all the algae are not available for the zooplankton. The zooplankton is the food for the fish, means that there is less fish. The fishermen catch less fish. And it also means that biodiversity is at least at risk. So because if there is only one species in the lake, so there is no space for the others.
Juba Berlikova is currently on a sabbatical at Eawag. Berlikova estimates that in the Great Lakes, quagga mussels now represent more than 95% of all biomass. These mussels have affected the whole ecosystem. A deep water crustacean, Diporrhea, a vital food source for white fish, has declined.
When the quagga mussel came, first of all, they interrupted the food resource for Diporrhea. They colonized a lot of areas where Diporrhea used to live. There are several lakes where we can't find Diporrhea anymore in Great Lakes. So, for example, Lake Ontario.
The mussels are not only a danger to biodiversity. They also disrupt water supplies by clinging to and blocking supply pipes and damaging filters in drinking water systems. Maintenance and removal costs are rising sharply. Andreas Hirt, a manager at energy service Biel-Bien, says the mollusks are virtually unstoppable.
A sexually mature mussel secretes around 1 million larvae per year. This means that within 3 to 5 years, the body of water is actually completely colonized.
Energy Swiss service Biel-Bien was asked to develop a new water purification plant that also combats mussels without using chemicals. It uses ultrafiltration. But even before the water reaches the ultrafiltration station, the pipe is cleared of mussels using a special pump.
It strips off the larvae in the main pipeline and washes them away until they are returned to the lake that they came from. And what's special about this pump is that it can also move backwards.
The pipe is cleaned once a month.
This blocks all of the mussels, unlike other systems, which usually only block 99%, and are therefore not really suitable for removing them.
Andreas Hirt says there's been a lot of interest in Biel-Bien's new pipe cleaning system, but it's very expensive. The new waterworks in Biel that includes the cleaning system costs 100 million francs. But there are other ways to approach the problem. Some Swiss cantons, such as Bern, have introduced cleaning rules for boats that are moved from one lake to another, in case any quaggas have come along for the ride. So how is this quagga invasion likely to evolve in Switzerland? Will quagga completely colonize local waterways? Moritz Heiser from the Department of the Environment writes,
There are currently no ecologically and economically feasible control measures for lakes the size of Swiss lakes. The quagga mussel can therefore not be removed from a lake, not even with chemicals.
Juba Berlikova's research is partly focused on predicting when the quagga mussel invasion will reach its peak in Switzerland. With a team of scientists from North America and Europe, she recently collected and analysed long-term data on shallow lakes colonised by zebra mussels and later by quagga mussels. She has seen the long-term consequences in these small lakes, which provide some hope.
In some lakes which were invaded by zebra mussels, that after, for example, 20 years, there are more planktonic organisms in the lake. So there are more algae in the lake. So some parts of the ecosystem can recover after this invasion, after the peak of invasion.
Invasive species eventually deplete available resources in the lake, and their populations then decline. For example, in Lakes Huron, Michigan and Ontario in North America, there is now less algae in the water, so quagga populations are falling. Piet Spark is also basing his predictions for the quagga mussel on what's happening in North America, or what hasn't happened.
Of course, we always hope that there will be a disease or something, or a virus that will kill them or will kill part of the population. But it has not happened in North America the last 30 years, so the chances are not too big, I would say.
Many thanks to our dear colleague Julie Hunt, who left us this report just before going on early retirement. Julie, we miss you dearly here, but of course we wish you all the very best and lots of interesting projects for this new phase of life. We've also contacted Piet Spark from Eawag again, who you've just heard in this report, to see whether he had any updates on the story. And he'd like us to emphasise that many cantons in Switzerland have increased their efforts to stop the further spread of the quagga mussels and are increasingly collaborating in campaigns to raise public awareness. Coming up on this season of the Swiss Connection Science podcast, we have episodes about a 2000 Watt Society experiment, about why the Swiss waste more food than they think, and about the challenge of producing semiconductors. In our next episode, though, we're going to Antarctica, which stores information on the Earth's climate from over 1 million years ago. For more science stories, visit our website, swissinfo.ch, and you can help others to find our podcast by leaving us a 5-star review wherever you get our podcast, or tell a friend about us. Today's episode was recorded and edited by our science and video journalist Michele Andina. For more content, check out our website swissinfo.ch. I'm Jo Fay. Thanks for listening. Hello, this is Jo Fay from the Swiss Connection Science podcast. You're about to hear our new investigative podcast series, Lost Cells. It weaves together personal accounts from families in Spain, Serbia, Italy and beyond as they deal with the promises and failures of private stem cell banking. It's a global story with Switzerland at its heart. I hope you enjoy listening to it.